Everything in Nigeria is wrong from the beginning. The mindset of the people running Nigerian government is completely wrong. So, not to talk of the person who now won the election has paid more than that 100 million naira. Has paid even the people that got the vote, has paid the political party chairman and members, has paid the electoral body. And this is Nigeria. You buy everything. Even you buy legal structure. You buy legal structure. Tinubu paid for the court to win the election of Nigeria. And after that, he bought SUV for all the legislators because they stood by him against the mandate of the people. And this is not an allegation. This is what is vividly done and in record and in the media. So, what is happening there in UK is completely different from what's happening in Nigeria because this is a setting of an organized society, a standard and organized society. Nigeria is not made to be organized. Even the people ruling Nigeria are not organized. They are thugs. Thugs, touts, who don't care for the people. They have to regroup their money back. That's why you keep on crying that they what they told you they want to go and do when they enter power, you know what they are doing. You, at the grassroots, should ask yourself, when you are collecting a cup of rice because of election, this is madness. When you are collecting sachet of Indomie, a pair of clothes because of election, this is madness. You should have rejected. You don't need that. But somebody wants to go and work and represent you, you don't need to get anything from him and you don't need to tax him. When you are taxing him, you collect your reward. And when he gets there, he's there for business. He's there for business and he has to pay back all those money. In Nigeria, politicians goes to bank to borrow money to go for election. It's not done like that in a organized society. Why should you go and borrow? Are you going for business? So in Nigeria, it is business. Unlike here, where people will stand by a representative and say, go and represent us. And this is our mandate. When you get there, do it for us. And it stands by that. But in Nigeria, it is business. It is business. We can't compare. This is uncomparable. And that's why we are saying we need our sovereignty back. It is only mad people that we say Nigeria should continue like this. And we have mad people like that. Not everybody in Nigeria, either they live in diaspora or whatever, where they have their right senses with them. No. Because we are shouting Yoruba nation, just give room for Jack and Harris to come on the media and talk. For people that have the right senses, when they speak, you hear from what they are saying. And that's what Jesus said, that by their fruit we shall know them. So if anybody is supporting Nigeria in this state, at this level, that Nigerian politicians are even are confused and are battling each other, then that person is mad, completely mad. Either he's in diaspora or living in Nigeria. He's only a mad person that will support Nigeria at this state.
Let me ask one or two questions, Bishop. As we are monitoring these election going on in UK, what has it been that Nigeria failed to do when it comes to election? We've seen election malpractice, we've seen rigging, clearly in our eyes, and it seems that every presidency unfair election in Nigeria and mostly in Africa.
The problem is starting from the politicians themselves. The problem starts from the politicians. How will a party be asking an aspirant to pay 100 million naira per ticket, not refundable? And you think that person will go there and will not make his money back? Is 100 million naira a joke? and nothing happened.
Okay.
Nothing happened. Number two is the citizen should stop being a glutton and what citizen to I won't blame all the citizens because not in Nigeria there is no social group structure for electoral. But in fact in Nigeria 80% of Nigerians don't vote. And you should not blame them for that. Their vote doesn't count. Nigerian vote doesn't count. You shouldn't blame Nigeria for that. The 20% that vote are political party members. And those political party members, they are the ones that now demand from the politicians their wages. So because they know at the electoral poll they are going there to fight for that politician into office. So that is Nigeria's scenario. It is not the democratic setting as usual. Nigeria's scenario is that's why some politicians use talk. They will go there with talk. When they see they're losing, they will go there with talk to scatter the open or steal ballot and all these things is not helping solution of Nigeria. The final thing is the electoral body. The electoral body and the security agent. Why should you give lethal weapon to the hands of a security agent to go to the polling unit? Who is there that you want to shoot or kill? Are they fighting war? Are they fighting? So these are problem. Everybody in Nigeria is mad. They are mad.
Wow.
Because the orientation and when the purpose is not understood, please. They bring that shit hole into shambles and everybody will restructure and form their own separate of it. Working like or maybe because there are people that the corruption has hit into the intent of them. They love the corruption the way it's going. And that's the reason you will see some mad people when you are talking about the right things, some mad people will be speaking against you, ready to stop you. And you'll be wondering that is this one normal? They're not normal because they are already baptized into corruption. And they feel corruption is the way of life. You should go like that. Okay. And those are the people that will travel to diaspora to come and enjoy the beauty of another man's liberty and freedom. After they enjoy, they will come back to Nigeria to loot, to be. So that country is a shithole, cannot work. And people should stop respecting Nigeria as a country. The nations, that should be our campaign. The nations should stop respecting Nigeria as a country. When you are still respecting Nigeria as a country, you are adding to our problem. Okay. You are adding to our problem. Nigeria should stop being respected as a country. Nigeria has been hijacked by group of criminals using the institution and the system of government to subjugate the entire country. Wow. So, countries of the world should know this and stop respecting Nigeria till that shit will disintegrate. Thank you. Thank you so much. That is our commentator analyst.
You can also call in. Our backend team up where can you put the studio line out for those that might want to participate. Let me remind you of what Senator Mantu, told us. During the election as the 2019 was coming up. This is what Senator Mantu told every single Nigerians as at that time. Let's get that clip in. Once again, this is Koikimedia reporting. As also we say, happy Independence Day to those of our listeners from the United States of America. This is Koikimedia, and this is what Senator Mantu said.
Senator Mantu, can I just quickly clarify? Did I hear you say that you helped rig elections before now?
Let me tell you one thing. Yes, I did.
because I'm now confessing the truth. Look, what do I mean? I don't have to go and change the election, but you know, when you provide money, you give money to any boys to help you if they see any chance that they should favor you. You provide money to the security. All our elections in the past, I've been in this game for about 40 years. And I tell you, each time, it's not necessarily when I contest an election, but when my party sponsors a candidate, I would like that candidate to win election. And what we used to do before, we made provision for INEC, we made provision for security, we made provision for even agents of other parties, so that they will not, raise any objection to whatever we're able to get. So whether I rig myself or not, by providing those resources, financial inducement to the officials, I am rigging election.
Do you think that we can diminish or remove that influence as 2019 approaches?
I believe so, because you see, if people are born again like me and they refuse to do it, if we, the players, unless we give before somebody will take.
Thank you so much, this
right?
man.
So don't give, and then you will not get a taker. You will not get a taker. Why you will not even ask me why am I thinking this way? Look, I am tired of being seen as a criminal on the streets of the world because we are a Nigerian. You assume that everybody is an innocent human being until it's proven otherwise. But once you are outside this country with a green passport and they say that you are a Nigerian, even if you are a pastor or you are an imam, they will assume that you are criminally minded or you have criminal tendencies just because of where you come from. That must change. I am tired of living in poverty in the midst of plenty. I cannot, even no matter how much you have, every day you see people coming to you, relations, friends, this and that. My wife has given birth, my mother is a hospital, this and that, every day. But if everybody had enough to take care of himself or herself, they won't come bothering you. Say, give me that. And I believe that we have the resources that people can live a decent life without being beggars to those who have. Just because we haven't gotten our own governance system right. So we need good governance. And good governance can only be provided by good people who are truly repentant, who actually are there to serve the people, who are concerned about the well-being of the people, being the primary concern of the well-being of the people. Then when we have that such leaders, I can tell you they will judiciously and prudently use our resources.
Senator Manto, some few years back, telling us why, politicians continue to rig the election. If you want to participate, you can call into the program while the program is still on air. Right now, as many, residents in this particular jurisdiction in the London Borough are making their way into that polling station, they must have their ID. They must also be able to cast the vote before 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., you will not be able to cast your vote, and that means that you would have to wait for another 4 years. Let us remind you that these election also have independent candidates that are contesting. Likewise, we have the two major political parties, which is the Labour Party, and likewise the Conservative as well. We have the Lib Dem. The question we should be asking Nigerians is, when do you expect to have a reliable, truly without violent election? If you remember that the election that was held last year in Nigeria, the Nigerian election, we saw how manipulation, intimidation, and many things that went wrong in that election. The Nigeria election in 2023, that was last year, that brought in President Bola Tinubu. Was it a election that many of you saw that it was probably non-violent, or do you think that that election was as violent as many other elections that has been held? Let me remind you some of the scenes that took place during the election in Nigeria, as many Nigerians end up, to be scared of their lives, as observers also had to run for their lives.
Chaos at a polling booth in Lagos, as shots were fired in the air on Saturday afternoon. People screamed and scattered, searching for cover Nigeria's commercial hub. They grabbed ballot boxes, leaving papers strewn across the road, and voters angry.
Yeah, we are about to vote. We saw them, they came out of a car and shot the head. They were all starting running. And some group of people fell. I was among them that fell there. People that fell down there. So there was sort of fight around there. That's why. Can you see what is happening now? Can you see what is happening now? They want to make sure they suppress others from voting. This is unfair. This is madness. This is not civilization. This is what they call criminality and corruption of the highest order. When you have to desensitize mass majority of people from voting, this is not good. This is not this should not be accepted in any civilized society.
People had been queuing for hours when the stampede broke out to vote in what is expected to be Nigeria's closest presidential poll in the country's history.
I'm so disappointed. None of us had any clue that something like this was going to happen. So now we can't vote anymore. Very soon the police will come here now. The policeman that was here is nowhere to be found.
Counting is underway now in the election, which was marked by scattered incidents of violence like this one on Saturday. However, analysts say despite long delays and security issues at some voting stations, the disruptions have not been on the scale seen in previous polls.
Well, that was one out of many of the violence that took place during the election of 2023. We also saw how many intimidation and many people were also attacked. Once again, this is Koikimedia reporting from many of those. Let us listen to, as at the election, some of the observers, the European Union observer that came to Nigeria as at last year during that election period.
The European Union Election Observation Mission in Nigeria has disclosed that at least 21 persons have lost their lives to electoral violence.
Yeah, that's 21 people lost their life to election violence in Nigeria last year. The question is, how many people have lost their life in this election in UK since morning? I can literally tell you that none have lost their life. But in Nigeria, according to the European Union Observer, 23 people lost their life because they wanted to vote, but they were not allowed to vote. These are many reasons why Baba Akintoye said we can no longer continue in this crazy system known as Nigeria. It is time that Nigeria breaks apart.
And governorship elections. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, the chief observer, Barry Andrews, also explained that there were records of vote buying in several parts of the country. He added that there was voter apathy as voters' expectations during the presidential elections were not met.
I did try to draw attention to this fact. It's far more than a detail. It's absolutely tragic that 21 people, according to our latest information, lost their lives in election-related violence, and that's really unacceptable. And we want to pass our condolences to the families of those who lost their lives. And,
imagine going into an election
again,
and never going back home. That is what happened in Africa, and that is exactly what happened in Nigeria last year.
That they should share it with the appropriate legal authorities. And by any standards, when this kind of activity happens in the context of an election, it is almost inevitable that it has the effect of suppressing voter participation. And unfortunately, that is something that was very clearly seen on Saturday.
The EU observer, however, commended INEC on the improvement made in the 2023 elections compared to 2019 based on the recommendations made by the EU to the Commission.
Well,
we also carried out a follow-up mission.
You are still listening to part of the European Union observer in Nigeria. Let's tell you more about some of the electoral violence that took place in Nigeria, as many people. This is Al Jazeera 1 year ago reporting about the election violence, and as many as 21 people lost their life in that election. You're watching a live feed from one of the polling stations in the United Kingdom in the London borough of Haringey, where right now election has head into almost 4 hours left to go at exactly 10 p.m. local time. Many of the polling stations will be closed and the result will be coming out as swiftly as possible. And hopefully by this time tomorrow, we should be getting, who will become the next prime minister in the United Kingdom. But for now, as the, voters are going in, one at a time, some are just coming back from work. You could do different voting. You can actually vote for someone as well. It is called proxy voting. But you must go in with your form of identification. It's a very, very simple process. You go in, your name will be cross-checked with the electoral, officers, and then, you will be given your ballot paper. There is nobody to intimidate you. There's nobody to force you to vote for who you don't want to vote for. And then you go into the small cubicle where you cross over who you prefer to be your own candidate. And then after that, you return that and reporting about the violence. Last year, as Koikimedia, the election in UK and the election in Nigeria.
Northeastern Nigeria has seen 14 years of Boko Haram violence, but it's slowly emerging from dollars are being spent on new buildings and roads and rehabilitating lives and livelihoods.
No, we are in Haringey this evening. We are not in Kennington. Hopefully we'll be in Kennington very soon. But right now we are in London Borough of Haringey, where the reporting is coming from.
We started returning people to their LGF in order to address the root causes of the insurgency, which are not limited to increasing poverty, increasing private vulnerabilities, and increasing infrastructural deficit.
Thanks to the biggest military spending in Nigeria, areas overrun by Boko Haram fighters have been taken back.
The significant drop in attacks by Boko Haram and ISIL affiliates is boosting commerce in the northeast. Here at the main market in Maiduguri, traders from Chad, Cameroon, and Niger are loading up merchandise to take across the border.
Sorry, bear with us. The network can be fluctuating. There's not much we can do. Just bear with us. We're not streaming from the home. We're streaming from outside.
There are some
Thank you so much.
that fall under the control of bandits. There are a lot of IDPs that are not in that area.
Farther south, agitations for independence has led to the killing of hundreds of people in attacks on civilians, security forces, and government buildings. Police say there are at least 88 armed groups across Nigeria, from bandits to fighters and militias, supported by state officials.
These armed non-state groups are the number one security element or threat to the 2023 election.
These groups, he adds, have the capacity to not only disrupt the upcoming presidential election, but plunge Nigeria into deeper crisis.
Well, Nigeria continues to remain in deeper crisis as the election in the north was not able to be done due to the Boko Haram and the ISIS and the jihadis. As we continue to report from here, we will be moving swiftly just to show you the surroundings and tell you before we close this transmission that there is no intimidation. Nobody would intimidate you. But we saw the electoral violence that took place across Nigeria in 2023. Again, this is Al Jazeera 13 years ago is this particular clip you're about to listen to.
They've lost everything after the election. Salisu says he witnessed his own brother being killed.
They come with guns, heavy guns, with heavy ammunitions. They started shooting us. We, the Muslim houses community that are living there. I lost my house. In fact, my house, my other brother's house, got burned. My car burned. In fact, I have to begin my life again. I don't know. In fact, really, I don't know where to start now.
It was a revenge attack following the burning of churches and killings of Christians after President Goodluck Jonathan, a Christian from the south, won last Saturday's presidential poll. The village where Salisu and his family are holed up has some 13,000 displaced
Have you voted already?
but around 48,000 have fled their homes. Aid agencies are struggling to meet even the most basic.
This is Koikimedia. So you were not allowed to vote because you didn't have your ID. So you have to. You couldn't find it. Now you got it. You're going to cast your vote. All the best.
Aid is on its way, but fears of a looming crisis are growing.
Where they sleep, the children urinate, they bath around there. Because of water, mosquitoes in the night can cause maybe malaria and other things to them.
President Goodluck Jonathan says the crisis is a reminder of the events that led to Nigeria's bloody 1967 civil war, in which 1 million people were killed. Security is being tightened nationwide. But Salisu feels that's of little help now and blames the country's politicians for the crisis.
This thing is happening as a result of bad leadership. That's a plain truth. In so many countries, people, both Christian and Muslim, are living together. They understand themselves. But I don't see any reason why we in Nigeria, we cannot live in a single place. We cannot live together. It's very, very bad.
A nighttime curfew remains in place across Kaduna State, but there's nowhere for these people to go anyway. Yvonne Dege, Al Jazeera, Kaduna State in northern Nigeria.
This clip I've just played is 13 years ago, and nothing seems to have changed after 13 years. But let us listen to, remember her, the former, you can't see her very well, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Katrina Lang, as she was being asked about the election in Nigeria. This is our country where nobody intimidates, nobody kills. But in Nigeria, she quite. This is Katrina Lang speaking 1 year ago in Nigeria during that election.
You're watching CVC News. The British High Commission says it's worried about post-election crisis and voter suppression. The British High Commissioner Katrina Lang laid down these concerns at a news briefing in Abuja. Abida Lawal has details.
Thank you so much.
Democracy has
Our
had
mother,
a checkered history
for
since
joining.
independence. Successive governments have struggled to create a sense of national unity in a complex country whose borders were drawn by British colonialists, incorporating more than 200 ethnic groups. Democratization and development have progressed at different speeds in the country's disparate regions. As Nigeria approaches another major election, the British High Commission is concerned about the security of the polls.
The kind of violence that takes place in the run-up to the election, the period we're in now. There'll be the period of the election, the day of the elections themselves, where I think what we're probably most worried about is voter suppression, actually, trying to prevent people actually even going out to exercise their vote. And then perhaps the thing we're most worried about is actually post-election violence, as we saw in, I can't remember the year, but the year when Jonathan took over, where there was a lot of post-election violence. If any one of the party's supporters feels this election was stolen and my candidate should have won, there is a risk of violence, and that's why I said in my opening remarks how important it is that the leaders of the political parties impress upon all their supporters now, before they go and vote.
Another area that needs work in the Nigeria democratic journey is the inclusion of women in governance.
We all know the facts.
All done now.
Nigeria won't succeed.
I said all done now.
This is really something I'm going to be urging whoever wins this election to take much more seriously. So that's one issue of concern, and other discriminated groups, youth and disabilities, will need to make sure they're included.
It ended on a high note for Nigerians to be proud of their democracy, as it is an achievement that should not be underestimated. The British High Commission is once again harp on the message of unity. It hopes that the outcome of the coming election will be the reflection and yearnings of Nigerians. Habida Lawal, TVC News.
Well, that was, the former British High Commissioner to Nigeria, speaking just before the election that was held. As our grandmothers are telling me that, our grandmother Comfort Ologunja says, I have voted near my house in 2 to 3 minutes, easy, without any problems. And that's exactly what people are doing. People are going in, they're coming out, no intimidation. Moki gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ wa ní gbogbo tẹ́tí wò wá ní gbogbo àgbáyé, gbogbo àwọn tẹ́rin tó ń wọlé tó ń jáde, They are doing what is called their civic duty, and that is exactly what it should have happened, if not in most African countries. But unfortunately, most of us that live in Europe, we are privileged, to do our civic duty without any sort of intimidation. Thank you so much for the super chat and the concern that you also give all the time. And also, as many Yoruba people are now worried, that's exactly what Baba Kitoye told us at the part. So let us listen to what Baba Kitoye actually told us as we continue to show you these live transmission. Then after that, we'll be bringing the broadcast to a closure and we will be moving maybe somewhere else. But at about tomorrow, we'll be heading to number 10 Downing Street, where Koikimedia will be reporting from there as well. But for now, let us go and listen to what Professor Adebanji Akintoye told us regarding what we should be doing with our politics when we have our own independent country. Right now, the Yoruba nation that are agitating does not want a country where intimidation happen during election. And this is why we are saying to ourselves, let us work very hard. Let us do what needs to be done. Let us continue the awareness. Let us create campaign and make sure that many Yoruba people understand what truly is freedom. This is freedom being enjoyed today by many Nigerians that are living in UK, but yet they continue to tell Nigerians at home that one day they will experience the same thing, but that one day has gone to over 63 years of a failed country that doesn't respect human rights. This is me reporting what Babakito told us, as let's listen to it together.
In Nigeria.
Yeah, sorry, it's coming through now. Bear with us.
The good news, path to prosperity in our Orilede Yoruba by Professor Adebanji Akintoye. We're looking at the number 6 of this particular document. We shall clean up our politics.
In just about a few minutes, it's going to be coming up. What you're watching right now is a live transmission from the polling station where the election 2024, remember that the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called for the election, and that election is now being held today, almost the same day with the Independence Day of America. We'll be following the American election coming up in November. Let's listen more.
The political parties have been the central factor in the making of the country's reign of corruption and gross indiscipline. The Nigerian political party is simply an association for the personal enrichment of its leading members and a place of economic refuge for some lower persons. In short, a party belongs to the few leaders who use its influence to amass huge personal wealth. These party bosses stay on top and in money-stealing positions by expanding a little part of their ill-gotten wealth to breed and feed an army of angers on cronies and violent thugs for intimidating, physically hurting, or even killing political rivals. Consequently, assassinations are common and blood flows frequently in Nigerian politics. Political parties are also responsible for the evolution of the Nigerian political culture of election manipulation and rigging. While preparing for an election, Nigerian political parties typically budget large amount of money for bribing the electoral commissions, the police, and other security officers working in the election process, the judges of the election tribunal, in case their help would come to be needed.
and even representatives of other parties at the polling and collation centers. Nigerian political parties represent no moral or developmental principle. They are simply bodies set up to get access to the stealing and sharing of public money. Consequently, Nigerian politicians keep forming more and more parties. At one point, Nigeria had more than 90 political parties. Having lived through all these for 63 years in Nigeria, most of us Yoruba are strongly opposed to continue with it in our own new country. Very many of our people have in recent years submitted written proposals demanding that we should not have political parties in the politics of our new country. Most of these people suggest that we should have no party at all and that we should have a system of direct election in which a candidate for a national election contests election in his own constituency without membership of a party and without being assisted by any party. The winners from their own constituencies then assembled in the National Assembly building in our nation's capital city to be sworn in as our House of Representatives. The House of Representatives then elect the Speaker and the Prime Minister and the legislative business of our national government. Proceed. From there, there will be no party to control our legislator or to direct them to speak or vote one way or the other. Legislator will speak and vote according to their own conscience, and there will be no room for corruption. But here is another possible option. Many others among our people believed and proposed that we should have political parties, or we should employ the law to regulate the party system very tightly. These proposals include A, law limiting the number of political parties to 3. B, law placing on every party the duty of swearing an oath to respect and obey the nation's constitution and laws, oath to be renewed by each party annually. C, law prohibits the use, encouragement, or election rigging or financial or material bribes in the political process or in the judicial process. D, law establishing the rules, benefit, and obligations of a party member, party dues to the party legally, limiting the amount of party dues, party membership card, legally prescribe swearing before the nominations for any national or local election, to observance of laws, guiding the party to strict respect and observance of electoral laws and regulations, to rejections of illegal interference with election process, to rejection of the use of money or others to influence voters. To E, law prohibiting a person who holds or has ever held a public office on the platform of a political party from ever holding any public office as a member of another political party. F, law prohibiting a party from seeking or receiving financial or material help or manipulation of the nation's political process or manipulating propaganda for any external interest. G, law requiring the nation to seek the order of a court to punish or even to prescribe any offending political party.
Well, that was Professor Adebanjo Akitoye message to many of us as we coming up to the end of this transmission. We will be, giving you more reportage, within the next 24 hours when we head into number 10 Downing Street, to find out, who becomes the next Prime Minister of the UK. Many people are coming in, going out, as many will still be doing the same thing. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 more hours at exactly 10 p.m. local time. This particular polling station will be closed, and they will now be heading into the collation center to get the result in as quickly as possible. So some of the platform we're going to keep to for now, while some of you, we will be ending that platform so that we can be able, to move now, from this end. Just show you a little bit of the, the environment where the election. I've shown you that already. If you look towards there, you can see that this is as many streets across where the UK election is being held. This one is being held right now in one of the schools. Sometimes they are being held in a library, and sometimes, depending, they are being held as well in a town hall as well. But as we know, in England, Wales, Scotland, everybody's out there, making sure that they can, decide who becomes the next prime minister. It's been 14 years of the Conservative, But the most important thing is, you have the right to decide who you are voting for. I've done mine already. I can tell you that, and also, I believe many of you have done the same thing. If you have not done yours, don't be lazy. It's just about 2-3 minutes away from your house. Go out there, make sure you have your ID. I've seen somebody that walked in. She has not been allowed to vote. She has gone back home to bring that ID, and she's gone back in, and she has now fulfilled her civic duty. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, reporting for the Koikimedia, from London on the 4th of July, and we say Happy Independence Day to many of you in America. But one day, the Yoruba will have an official Independence Day, and this will be the system where there will be no intimidation when you go into those polling units. So for now, like I said, I'm going to be ending some of the platforms so that we can be able to, if you can't find me right now, join us on those platforms, because I'll be ending this particular one here. Thank you so much to everyone that have joined us, and have a very good evening. So for those of